Hello Hambini fans, and welcome to another episode of Hambini's Sunday Reaming. In today's episode, we better first check the pen is working. Oh, that's some hyper pen threading there. Right, by Hambini, age 5. First of all, the disclaimers, you can read all them at your leisure. The ones I would point out to you are if you're going after a defamation thing, for the defamation lawyers, I will use my journalistic public interest defence if requested. And if you have a picture that I've lifted from somewhere, please get in touch and that you want credit for. Right, first of all, a load of bikes from the back of the Total Energies team car or even bus have been nicked. Now I think they are the Envy bike. I think this is the one on the right hand side. If you've seen them, give your local gendarmerie a call and then see if you can get those bikes back. Alternatively, your mate down the pub might be able to get you a replica version of the replica that was stolen. Right, next, these, I love these ones. So if you have a failure of anything, preferably not a pen, do send it in so I can put it up onto the show. This is a Look 795 blade, the RS model, so it's the top of the range one, and it's had this failure. Now I did put this up on the up on my Instagram and on the community page, and there was speculation as to what had caused this. At this moment it's not totally clear, but the place of fracture is totally clear. So it's gone through the almost the wedge ring, which loads up the fork. So it preloads the steering assembly up, and it has failed there. Now the guy in question probably has to thank internal routing for saving his life and keeping the handlebars attached. So, you know, good advert there for internal routing. However, that is probably the cause of this as well, because if we go a little bit further, you can see this steerer is not round. It's sort of like, what do they call them, D-shaped steerers, something like that. Yeah, look at that. Yikes. So it's failed through there. Now, a few things that I would say is, first of all, a D-shaped steerer is nowhere near as good from a crack propagation perspective as a round one, because if you go to the extreme and let's say draw a square steerer tube, you're going to get crack propagations from the corners because they're areas of high stress. So if you do have like a square and you're clamping it, let's say that way, you've got high stress in the corners, there and there, and there and there. Whereas if you have a round steerer with a round clamp around it, and you clamp, you're sort of distributing the spread over a much further a bigger distance, so it reduces pressure. And the other comment I would make is bearings are always round. So if you do have a round hole and then you have a round thing to fill it, you've got decent stress distribution all the way around it. But if you have the square steerer, then you've got all this area around where, you know, something can happen. You have to put some stuff in there. This chap is extremely lucky, if you ask me, because that could have been pretty nasty. So if anyone has any ideas on what's caused that, I don't think it's crash damage, but there you go. There's another great shot of it. So the fibers are broken. Now the interesting thing is here, see, it looks quite clean there, so I think it's probably gone there, and then these fibers here have failed in either tension or compression, or more likely shear and torsion together. I mean, some remnants of it around there. So I guess he's taking it up with luck. And there's another shot of it as well. Oof. It just makes my skin crawl, that one does. So there you go. Right, DeRosa, let me show you this video. Right, a lot of you will know that I do quite a bit of travelling for my work as a mature fitness model, and here are just a few of the places that I've been and the many banging hairdressers that I've met. Now, when you are using lots of public Wi-Fi, whether it's on the internet, on your phone, or on a laptop, or on your watch, or on a tablet, you may be blocked from accessing content and services that you would normally be used to when you're at home lounging around on your sofa. For example, Formula One and football. With NordVPN, you can surf the internet as if you had never left your sofa. There are no restrictions. You can surf the internet, surf YouTube, and access TV services as if you were in your home country. Now, in some countries, content is censored, so you would not be able to access parts of my world-famous back catalogue in certain jurisdictions. Now, currently, you can get 4 months extra on a 2-year plan with NordVPN, plus, and this is really for the travellers out there, a 20 gigabyte Saily eSIM. You can go to nordvpn.com/Hambini. It's risk-free. It's with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, that comedy episode was sent in by a viewer from Germany, and this is another one of those episodes where, I mean, the stuff that the customer service people put out is utter rubbish. You've got, this is their explanation of why they wouldn't warranty it, so he sent it in. Now, when I looked at it, I thought it was missing a sleeve, but apparently, and this is according to them, this damage was caused by a lack of maintenance of the bottom bracket. So we've got a Shimano bottom bracket in there that's made of plastic, let's say it's nylon, and a rock hard carbon frame that's made of carbon, and they expect the nylon to wear a perfectly cylindrical hole into the carbon frame. I mean, who are they kidding? They're coming on this show and then making themselves look like absolute muppets. So there you go. If you've got any more of this kind of thing for me to ream, remember to send it in. Right, next things, a few more serious things. This is the new Trek bike. It's the Madonna, so it's a combination of the Madone and the Amonda, and they are saying it is to try and have one bike to do it all. Now, the reality of it is, if you listen to their bump on YouTube, they say, oh, we've reduced the number of sizes, it's only by 3 or 4 millimeters, no one will know the difference, blah, 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 blah. The crux of it is they are not in a financially great position, and they have reduced their inventory. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to reduce the number of bikes and the sizes you make them in, because it just means you stock less. At the same time, this came out, which was, well, it's in bicycle retail, but I've seen it in a few different places. And it was also mentioned at Eurobike. So Trek are going to start selling direct to the customer, a bit like Canyon do. And that was one of the big things that I saw at Eurobike. There were loads of companies selling bike packaging. So companies like Mondi, who are well known for making like cardboard boxes and stuff for food packaging, and then just general packaging of, I don't know, computer parts and stuff like that. They were there, and they did have some fairly innovative bits and pieces to send complete bikes, because sending a complete bike is a bit of a different animal to sending a frame. But that is what Trek are doing. I think this is where the entire industry is going, because the margins on the bikes are getting squeezed. I can see all the dealers either getting bought up by the manufacturers or just going into niche products, a bit like, I guess, Mapdeck just sells time and look. That's a fairly niche product, because it's top of the line. They don't make cheap bikes, and the rest of it is on service. And I think that's where a big move is going. Now, the Eurobike media, this one really rattled me quite a lot, because in the the videos that came out about Eurobike, I was like scratching my head thinking, these guys from the usual channels, they're just, I don't know if they don't know what they're looking at, or they're just pushing something for the hell of it. But these scope hubs were utter rubbish, and they were going on about them like they were like God's gift to the earth. They were awful. Now, this is just a couple of pictures I put up, and this one on the left, you probably you know, think, oh, okay, it just looks a bit rough. Have a look down here at this hole. It's not even close to being round. It's jagged as hell. And then in there, okay, it's slightly off, but you see the fragments of it around there. And also, okay, that's not a part that you know, needs to be round, but it's just awful. So I went back and took some more pictures of it. I mean, check that out. That is diabolical. And people are pushing this. You know, the mainstream media, oh, the likes of GCN and Velo, I might have got that wrong, but you know, those kind of people are pushing this out and saying it's, you know, a huge development and stuff like that. It's utterly awful. They should not be pushing this out because it's crap. Right. The fallout from Eurobike, a few bits and pieces. I mean, the major brands were missing. So if you didn't notice, Pinarello, Look weren't there. Pinarello wasn't there. Bianchi weren't there. I didn't see Cervelo. There was a load of them missing. And I think that's just a general trend. I mean, if you were to talk about the American, I mean, Specialized wasn't there. If you were to talk about the American brands, well, they didn't turn up probably because they're American, and you know, why would they if it's in Europe? But the Italian brands, they weren't there. Yeah, I mean, Canyon were there, I guess because they're German. Cube, I think I saw. And the only major one that I could think of that did have a fairly decent stand was Giant. There is a huge shift towards e-bikes, and you can't really get away from that. Even in, you know, on YouTube, if you look, some of the e-mountain bike channels are getting loads of hits, and I think there's just a general move away from road. You know, COVID's been and gone, and that sort of bubble has well and truly burst. I do not think that the industry is going to recover forever. It's never going to get back to where it was. Just way too much has happened. Gravel has tailed off. That is pretty apparent, and MTB is slightly picked up, I'd say, but gravel has well and truly hit its max. It may still be growing in America, but in Europe, I think it's had it. The major developments are coming from the Far East, and they're from places that you wouldn't expect. So Light Carbon had that carbon 3D printed frame, and I've actually bought another Light Carbon bike, so I'm expecting that to be delivered sometime soon, so I'll be going through that. And that's, you know, it's not an expensive bike, so there's plenty to be had in that regard. But that is where all the development's coming from. If you look at Europe, I mean, the highlight of it from a European perspective, if you want to call it that, is well, the tyre manufacturers. So you had Schwalbe and Continental. So Continental put some tyres out which had vortex generators on the tread. Schwalbe had a new valve system that basically had a lower CV or KV value. CV and KV value is the resistance that a valve has to flow, basically. So the lower you make it, the bigger your throughput of air. So if you're running tubeless, that's the way to go. But I mean, in sort of idle conversations with people that I had, I'm thinking even the tubeless and the sealant is not a great idea for road use, because people are now complaining of out of balance. You know, I've been saying that for a while, but it's a lot worse when you've got sealant, because you can't get rid of the moisture in the air that you put in, so it will slightly go off. And then if you do get a hole in it, it seals itself, but it doesn't send the sealant around uniformly. And if you leave your bike in the shed or the garage or whatever for a while, go back to it, you might find the sealant has coagulated around the bottom. When you're riding along, especially on the front wheel, you can feel the handlebars shimmying slightly. So yeah, that's it. This one, now, because I'm of South Asian descent, which is near France, a lot of these people came up to speak to me because they'd seen me on YouTube, but this has been a sort of step change from last year and the year before. There's a lot more manufacturers from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Not so much in carbon, but in metal, and some of the electronics, some of the sort of motor electronics, and the software is quite big. And the other thing was like the add-ons, like the clothing and stuff like that. I mean, historically they've been made in Pakistan and Bangladesh for, you know, for years, but that for metal frames, I think is a big deal. Decathlon is actually making a load of stuff there for bikes. And I've already mentioned this, so there's a huge push towards direct sales. Even you know, in the lunchtime discussions there, you could see where the world's going. Now, if you are a bike shop watching this, you might say, oh, that Hambini's talking crap. Well, that's what I heard, and you know, that's where we are going. So, you know, ignore it at your peril. Right, questions, comments, remember to subscribe, hambini.com for, you know, websites if you want to buy a bottom bracket or stuff like that. Remember to comment, and if you are on Patreon, you can get some discounts and previews and all that good stuff. Right, that brings us to the end of this reaming. If you did enjoy it, remember to smash that like button. If you didn't, go screw yourself. And as always, keep banging your hairdresser.